Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike is here. Ames is here. Hello, Ames.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing.
Are you
I'm.
schwitzing?
I am. Yeah, it's not too bad. I was just into Pazul. I took Cease into
Yeah.
Pazul, and I got the fat one in there, as
I was going to
well.
ask if the other one liked to swim.
The other one is like a neurotic, like you know how dogs behave certain ways. You know, like she's like, "Oh my God, someone's in the pool. I got to save them," and so
Oh, yeah.
Shelby's super anxious and barks, and she's, by the way, the same breed as Cece, but bigger. She's a bigger version.
Are they
She's probably,
related?
they are. They're sisters. So they have the same
Do they know their
dad.
sisters?
They have the same dad, and Cece had a peach of a mom, and I'm assuming Shelby's was a whore, but they had the same dad who was just a fucking beast. But they're like 4 years apart. 5 years
Oh, okay.
apart. Shelby's like 5 years older, 4 years
Okay.
older, something like that.
So they're half sisters.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I call her the fat one because she's bigger than Cece. And so the fat one, I have to go in the pool, and Cece's just diving in and all that stuff. And the fat one, it's like, I'm like, come on. And she's like out of control to start. And she paddles to me, and I just take her dotting around the pool.
Yeah.
But I've got to have her follow me, and Cece's just off doing her own thing.
Aww.
So I did that to kind of cool down. As you can see, I'm still a little wet here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to be comfortable in here. I think it was made substantially worse yesterday having, what did I call it? A swamp cooler?
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is. Yeah. Like I said, poor person's AC, just for you use it outside, but I think poor people use them as AC units.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did in here when the lights are on and the electronics are going, it just
And
blew.
you're talking.
And talking, and I don't stop talking.
Yeah.
And it just it made the air, like I felt like I was going to faint last night. It was bad. So I took that piece of shit out of here, and I'm hoping it's a little better. We'll see.
You should get one of those banned Carnival Cruise fans.
Yeah. Clack, clack. Just do that. I don't think I can.
We open every show. We open every show with the clack, clack dance.
Yeah. Why not?
You're doing the clack, clack, and I'm doing the dance.
Yeah, but it's so we'll see how it goes. But I got a call finally from the AC people, and it's remarkable to me, like breaking news. But when people want, when they're trying to get your business, and it's just like, we could be there in 13 minutes, and then it's like, hey, by the way, the thing you installed in December to the tune of, I don't know, $13,000 isn't working. And it's like, oh yeah, we've got to call in. But it's just like, and they're fine. At least they called me back. But it's just like, that urgency and that like, hey, we'll jump through fire hoops. We'll be there. No problem. To get the job all of a sudden is like, yeah. I'm like, dude, you understand this is my office in here and it's a fucking sweat box.
Yeah.
And like, I need you guys to get on this. And it's like, well, it's something to do with motherboard 4, I believe she called it. Yeah. And if your motherboard 4 goes bad, it's a whole thing.
It is. Yeah. You can't do without the motherboard 4.
No. If it was motherboard 3, I'd be like, we can wing this. We can make this work for a few days.
Yeah.
But if
they make
motherboard
the
4
important
goes out,
one 4. You'd think it's 1 or maybe 5, but it's 4.
Well, 5 is, I don't even know why motherboard 5 is even there. To be honest with you, it feels like excess overkill.
Yeah.
But everybody knows motherboard 4 goes, and you've got a real problem on your hands.
You do.
And that's what I'm dealing with. And I was like, can I just add 2 5s? And they're like, no, you're going to break the whole thing.
Add 2 5s.
So, yeah. So anyways, it doesn't really matter because by the time I get back, it should be fixed. Because if it's going to take them a few days, I'm getting the fuck out of here tomorrow. I'm going to go to California. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'll do one more show tomorrow. We'll do a member show for those that care. Patreon.com/TDC Podcast. Join the fun. And maybe we'll do one early, and then I'm going to kind of rush, pack up, and get out of here. And and the reason I'm going so fast, I don't even think those guys are going to be here to start working on the like real heavy part of the job for a few days upstairs. but my sister's leaving and going to Michigan to be with my mom for her surgery on the 20th. So I'll be gone all next week. I'm going to bring my some setup, either my iPad or something, so we can do something.
Cool.
I hope it'll sound okay. But
yeah, it'll be fine.
But yeah, I'm not like, dude. I went up there. I was just like, okay, there's some leftover filet mignon from when the warden cooked on the 4th. And I make sure the fat one and Cece gets the best pieces and the biggest pieces.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone I said that. The fat one gets it too, and it's filet, so they can't bitch.
I don't think there's fat on filet.
No, not really. But every once in a while, you get like that's a piece for the fat one, So, but I hook them up and they love it, and I go up there and it's like I'm back in Michigan. They've got the Visqueen with the zipper through the kitchen, and I'm like, okay, I know how to open a zipper. So I go in and they've Visqueened up. You can't even get into the pantry or the fridge, and it's like taped shut like completely. And it's like, so I can't even get in there and just like get a handful of cheese for the dogs or some steak bites. Like, it's like, this is going to be a nightmare, and they will not be. God knows how long it'll take, but they're going to have a good 10-day head start because I ain't going to be here for it. So,
well, you know what, Mike? At least you're not you don't have to go to like a river to get your water.
Why would
just put that in perspective,
Yeah, no. Why would I have to go to a river? Who's doing that?
Like if you it sucks, but like if you lived in fucking BFE Africa, it'd be way worse.
Yeah, South Sudan or something. That looks like a real piece of work there.
Yeah, like think about how much work you'd have to do just to get like water.
Yeah. Oh, the bars with the buckets on the end of them.
Yeah, and you have to walk like 5 miles each way.
Yeah, not doing
and the water's gross because it's also the water that people are doing like their laundry and going to the bathroom in.
No, I could get to the point of they're like, well, you got to boil your water. I'm out. No. If someone suggests that to me, I'm out. That's too much to ask. I'm sorry. I know I'm an entitled, overprivileged asshole, but that's just the reality.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. I'm taking the little guy with me. So me and Marsh and Stinky, Cece, are going on a trip, and I'm taking the warden's expedition.
Oh boy. Okay. How does she act when you one have her car and two have her kid? Because I know how my sister would act, and she would not stop calling.
I just ignore calls and texts. I don't put up with it.
She'd be like, "Are you drinking and driving?" Even though
are you high?
I would never do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She was actually. I did this last year. I don't know if you remember, but I went to California and I took Marshy, and he had a blast with his cousins and all that. And it was the very first time the warden's been without her kid. And she was like, she was kind of a basket case, but then once I was out of here, she was fine.
Yeah.
She'd make a call each night, and I'd just be like, here, you're not talking to me, talk to him.
Well, so, good.
But I drive a little Lincoln around here, because I turned my car in. G had an extra, spare car. And so I just drive that. And she's like, yeah, no, you're not driving that to California with the Dawn. I'm like,
how far is the drive?
I'll break it into 2. So I'll drive to like Palm Springs,
okay,
and stay at a Hilton or whatever for the night, and then it's like a 4-hour drive up north, so it's like 11 hours, from Scottsdale to Northern California. So that'll be cool, but nice. there is an added pressure when you have someone else's kid with you, even though it's family.
For
like
sure.
So, but it'll be good to get the fuck out of here. It's getting hot here. And, so I don't know. They're excited. I'm excited. So
good.
We'll see, but we got to get through this sweat box first.
We do, Mike.
Yeah. Anyways, how's your day going?
Oh, it's going pretty good.
Yeah.
Tigers are playing right now.
Yeah. What's the deal? They were in the 4th.
They were losing.
I think they were tied in the 4th. Not that anyone
they were losing like 7-4 when I came up here.
That's okay. They'll be all right.
They're like 14 games ahead in their division.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, they're
It's
down
awesome.
7-3.
Do you think they can go the distance?
I don't see why not. So long as they don't cool down and they keep playing. I have like zero confidence that he's going to make any kind of acquisition at the trade deadline, which is irritating.
When is that?
Isn't it July 31st, maybe?
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's after the All-Star break. Yeah, I think it's end of July. And the Tigers have 5 All-Stars and their bat boy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I would think they would just go with the home city's bat boy.
Yeah, I feel like this maybe is something new. I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah, I think we have 3 starters.
Yeah. Well, I think one is hurt.
Okay.
I think.
I think I saw that it was the Dodgers and the Tigers had 3 starters.
Yeah.
In their National League, American League, which is great.
It might be the World Series. We'll see.
Yeah. And they look good against tough teams. So that's always the concern. So, I could totally see them going, hey, if it ain't broke,
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's a way to do it. I mean, you need to be like prepared if something catastrophic happens.
Well, catastrophe would be Scooble.
Shut the fuck up. Don't even put it out there, Mike.
No, I'm not putting it out there. I'm just saying that's like golf. You know what I mean? Like you can lose a receiver, you can lose a lineman, you cannot lose your quarterback. You can't lose your ace.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You know what I mean?
Although remember when fucking Jameis Winston, straight off of like coaching a high school championship the week prior, like threw on a jersey and came in for that playoff game for a little bit and didn't do a horrible job. Do you remember that?
When was that? Was this with Tampa or
no, with us?
Oh, with Detroit?
This past season. Remember Goff got like nailed? Remember that? And he had to sit out for a minute.
For like a play or for like a...
No, for like a series.
Why don't I remember that?
Yeah, hang on. It was...
Yeah. And did Goff go to the blue tent or the locker room and then it was like, it's over. And then he came back? Yeah. Okay. God, you were scaring me. I was like, I should probably remember that. By the way, I watched yesterday. I watched your Shark Whisperer.
Oh, what did you think?
Well, it's great until they started showing sharks' heads.
I know. I told you.
I didn't like it.
I know.
I hate that stuff. I know I sound like such a non-man when it's like when it comes to hunting and like I mean it though. I don't think I'd have a problem shooting a human being. Like I could shoot a person, but a roops of any form.
I know.
It's just I just can't square that. You know what I mean? And so seeing those sharks and it's like I'm so pulling for the shark.
Totally.
But her swimming with the great whites, like, dude, the balls.
It's incredible. Isn't it?
It's unbelievable. And you had told me about it a few days ago about her leaving the cage.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah. But she's got an attitude that you almost have to have like, hey, if this is how I go, whatever.
100%.
Like, it's almost the attitude you have to have. Not like, oh yeah, I'm going to fight Mother Nature and we'll see what happens.
Right.
It's just like, no, I know the risk. Totally.
Yeah. Right.
I know that these are wild animals. And at any point, they could get spooked by something and go a different direction. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's a cool chick. Like I would want to hang out with her. Like, I feel like I could learn so much from her. She's just, I just feel like if I could do, I think about back in like elementary school when people would ask you what you wanted to do. And so many kids would say, I want to be a marine biologist. And I don't think anybody ever grew up to be a marine biologist. And that's not exactly what she is. But like, if I could just be anything, it would be something like that. Like you're just with fucking animals in the nice weather, in the water.
Yeah.
Maybe sharks, maybe dolphins. But that's just like, she just seems like she has a cool life.
Do you consider her kind of a scientist too?
For sure.
Because I do. When she explained it and like seeing her notes and then seeing those match up with the actual sharks, like.
And I mean, it was super interesting to like hear her describe like how they communicate with each other and the things that she observed that way. And what about the one with the missing jaw?
Oh my God. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. What was the name? Roxy? Was it Roxy?
Yeah, and Roxy was always getting hurt.
Roxy swimming around like this.
I know. And then she had like a hook stuck in her at one point.
And then a rope. She had a rope stuck in her.
Yeah.
And then to see her come back like a rock star, still like this.
I know. But like they around. Like know them now. Like they know those people.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It was so cool. And I just felt, isn't it funny though, like how kind of bitter the dudes are about it?
I was just gonna say it. Yeah. Like, there's something like you're in our space. This is where we are.
This is not how we do things. We observe. We don't go down there. It's too dangerous.
Yeah. Like this is, they were taught that this is how it's done. They were in a classroom and learned how to do. You never touch. Like, says who?
Yeah.
Says your professor at UCLA. Like, shut up.
Right.
And I get it. You don't want an environment where random people are just going out shark hunting and just like, because you can see how, she's not making any fast movements.
No.
She's not like I'd be down there going, "Hi, Roops. Look at me. Hi, let's be friends." Like, I would be an asshole.
And I would be trying to play it cool, but my pulse would be like 1,000,000 miles a minute, and the shark would 100% be able to sense that. Like, she stays calm, cool, collected. Like, it doesn't faze her. It's like a dog walking up to us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so there is a bit of, like, okay, probably not smart to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there just swimming around, but it was very cool.
Do you think like word's gotten around in the shark community? Like, hey, there's this pretty cool chick that swims from time to time. Her name's Ocean. You guys should really check her out and be nice to her. Like, do you think that's gotten around the shark community?
Yeah. Oh, I think everyone in the shark community would know her.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like when they go to their shark meetings.
Conventions, meetings. Yeah. Yeah. At the latest Great White meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I stumbled into one of those on accident once. They said it was a Great White meeting, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in." And it turned out it was a totally different meeting than I expected. But nonetheless,
it was a branch off of your Project 2025 meeting.
Yeah. It was right down the hall. So I was like, "Oh, they've got a Great White meeting going on. Awesome." Figured I'd be a keynote, so I went down there, and it was a totally different thing, but it was cool. That all those guys in the documentary were in there.
Yeah.
They were all hanging out in there, nerds. But
total nerds.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you're doing, like, it's one thing too if like those guys at one of their shark meetings, just amongst themselves having cocktails and like, "Oh, this fucking chick's gonna get her hand bitten off. She's not careful." Talking a little shit. But you're mic'd up. They've built a set essentially. You're like on camera to just kind of talk shit.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems.
And then there was that old lady who was just like cheering her on. She's like, "I think it's great."
Yeah. She reminded me too much of the that old bird from California that was in the Senate forever. Where they had to wheel her in. She didn't even know where she was.
Fucking Dianne Feinstein.
She had too much of a Dianne Feinstein vibe for me.
Yeah.
But but yeah, they were jealous. I think they're jealous that she's hot and young.
Totally.
I think there's a whole series of things going on there.
Yeah. It's a good documentary though. I would recommend it.
And I was cool to see at the end when it came full circle, like kind of having to fight for not killing sharks in Hawaii.
Totally.
Like who would have even
and
thought
that's
that
why
was a thing?
when I look to the other people who are like judging her, and it's like, well, what the fuck have you done? What have you done? Because since she went out there and did this and she's gone viral and because that's what it takes, right? She got eyes on it. She got people to show up. It failed the first time, this bill, and she tried again and it passed. So it's like,
Well, the timing too, it's just like in the stars, a big whale comes, I don't know, was it a sandbar?
Wasn't that so crazy? How like everything just left, and then out from the depths of the ocean comes like fucking Jaws.
Yeah, a 20-foot, like biggest documented great white shark.
And she's just
got
swimming
these
with
photos,
The photos are incredible.
Incredible.
And the video, like, it's so good.
I immediately last night went onto the socials and started
Me
following
too.
her.
Same.
Did you? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm that nerd.
Same.
So and
hey, speaking of socials, Mike.
Yeah.
People should follow you and me.
Yes. Walters
and
Radio
YouTube.
on X and YouTube. TDC Podcast.
Yeah.
Or Detroit Cast.
Detroit Cast.
Detroit
That's
Cast.
the old school. That's what TDC stands for.
Yes.
The Detroit Cast.
Yeah. Should we inform people a little bit? I know we talked about it yesterday, of how this came to be, because there's only 160 people watching right this minute, but that's actually up from what it was. I've talked about, I laugh about it. This wasn't meant to be a video live streaming show.
Yeah, it's always just been a podcast like that you listen to in your podcast app.
Right. And I remember when Jay and I first put cameras in the studio, and they were just throwaway, kind of what I'm using right now. Just this is okay, but just a little camera, like in the studio, one overhead shot. So my background, for anyone new listening or that cares, is I come from radio, the radio world, and worked on a morning show in Detroit, the Drew and Mike show. And I was not Mike as in Drew and Mike, but I was one of their producers for almost 2 decades. And it was the #1 show in Detroit for 22 years. So it was a big show. It was very popular. Think along the lines of, it was the best. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, very funny, but smart too. And so the people like the Mitch Albums of the world would get jealous and be like, it's dick jokes and thought humor, stuff like that. And it was so much not that, but much like those scientists in the shark documentary that,
Yeah.
So we did that through 2013, through, what was it, March, May of 2013, something like that. And I had at the time been building a studio because this podcasting world was kind of new and it was kind of exciting. And I didn't, dream of being a producer my whole career. But we were on this big successful show. There was, we were paid well, and and it was fun and it was safe, and, but I had always thought that I'll use this equipment and, on the weekends or something or off time, the other producer and I, Mark Fellhauer, could maybe do some stuff, and I could bring Drew over or Mike over and stuff like that. And then they ended up not renewing our contract, going with a cheaper show that is horrible. And I don't say that lightly, but, and I was, to be fair about it, Ames, I was done. I was so ready for that show to be like, I was kind of dragging ass the last couple of years. And, so it wasn't like, oh no, they offered us to stay in the company and go do another show there. And I didn't go do that show and kind of dove into the podcasting thing instead. But I had all this equipment. And so when we were first let go, I started a show there, and it was called the Drew Cast.
Yeah.
And Drew was there. I don't know if you listened back in those days, you were
Mike. Yes. Of
course
I did.
Well, I don't know. Like,
I am like the OSG of all OGs. Okay.
I know, but it would have been fair. There were a lot of people, because back then people didn't even know what a podcast was.
Mike, like, I'm not a boomer.
I know you're not, asshole, but you're not also the only one listening right now. Oh. So for full explanation to people, back then, like on our website, when we first put one together, it was like, here's how you get a podcast. Like it was, you go to this thing. Like, it was game changing when Apple like demanded and made it mandatory to put the podcast app on your phone and you couldn't delete it. Like, that was really a game changing thing. But I loved doing that, the freedom of it, like record when you want. And we would just record. We were doing it like a morning show. We were doing like 4-hour shows.
Yeah.
Me and Drew and Mark.
Those were awesome.
And yeah. And then those guys went back to radio, and I was like, oh, guys, it's a huge fucking mistake.
Yeah.
Huge.
Sports radio, nonetheless.
Yeah, sports radio. And I was just like, no. There's whole stories behind that, but whatever. And so Mike Clark and I started doing it, but at the time it was called the
Mike
Drew
Clark
Cast.
is the Mike of
right.
Mike.
And he was not invited to go to the sports show. Many stories behind that too, but for another day. So I called him and I was like, hey, dude, do you want to do this podcast? And he was like, sure. I'm like, I don't know what it'll mean or be or anything. And so, but I had been burned because when we were doing the Drewcast, it got press, obviously, locally. The newspapers picked it up. They filmed a TV segment for it that never aired. Fox 2 did for other reasons, another story. Oh shit, what was I going to say? So Mike and I start doing it. Fuck, I was going to say something else. I lost my train of thought. Oh, the name. So the Drewcast is what we had called that. It was like, what are we going to call this? We couldn't call it the Drew and Mike show and stuff like that. That would have been weird with me there instead of Mike Clark. So we came up with the Drewcast. And then when those guys left, it was like, oh, well, there's 20,000 people or something that are, getting notifications. And at the time, you couldn't just change the name. It was like, well, no, those people subscribe to the Drewcast. Yeah. So you can't change the name. And I knew all along Mike Clark, because he was like, let's call it the Mike Cast or the Mike's Cast, because there was competitive juices there. Like, you called it the Drewcast. Now you call it the Mike Cast. And I was like, do I call it the Mike's Cast? Because there's two Mikes there.
Right.
But I was like, no, Mike Clark is not gonna I just knew him. And I was like, there's no way I'll have to change it again. And I was like, put my foot down and was like, no, let's go with the Detroit Cast. That way, when you bail, I don't have to fucking start over again.
Yeah.
So anyways, started doing that, but it was just a radio show. It was basically like a radio show on this weird medium. And it was the Detroit Cast with Mike and Jay, who was a friend of mine from high school. He was a lawyer, but Jay was special. He was very funny. And I knew that even back in high school.
So
he
funny.
was a weird combination. Usually you get like someone's really funny, but they're kind of a dipshit. Yeah. Or someone's really smart, but they're a giant nerd.
Yeah.
Jay was this weird combination of super smart, also a super big smart ass. Like, and he hated what's
pretentious, that? A little bit pretentious.
Oh, yeah, pretentious.
Super Christian. Funny. You guys had a great chemistry, though. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
How long did you and Jay do it for?
I don't know, 6 years.
Yeah, and I mean, I listened to every fucking. I mean, that was my morning show because Drew and Mike was my morning show working, and then your podcast became the morning show. So I was just a listener. Right. And that's how I kind of met Mike. But I was such a loyal listener. Like I would go to like their get-togethers and stuff, and I won trivia because I fucking know everything twice. Yeah. And so
which always blew me away at the time, because like it stuck out to me like why is this fucking hot chick? No notes. Like it just went against typecast. Like it'd be one thing if you had cue cards and study and there were people cheating behind you and giving you answers. It's like
that didn't happen.
No, none of that happened. No. And it was like there's some controversy over the second one, but I'll go on record and say, yeah, you won fair and square. 2 straight competitions where we had a full house at the bar and did,
that was fun.
Progressively harder questions, all involving the show. So my life, Jay's life. And we also had a third mic guy. His name's Eric Fady. And he was basically a retarded human being. And so that balance of the three of us, me kind of driving it and Jay is the smart, grounded, conservative, moral, and then a super morally bankrupt retard filled out this kind of triangle of personalities that made for a really entertaining show. And it always bothered me because I don't think Jay understood how rare that is, how hard that is to find. Because he was always bothered by, like he never got it. Like, why would anyone listen to this? Why would they take our opinions? I'm like, dude, I don't know, you fucking nerd lawyer. Just enjoy it. This is really hard to get personalities that work and can be kind of entertaining together. And to this day, I don't think he gets it. But it is what it is. And we had some different thoughts on how to go forward. And Jay he really wanted to just make money. And I understood. He had 3 kids and a wife and mortgage. Like, it was different situation than mine, where it was like, I don't know, if I make a couple dollars, cool.
Right.
And Isis didn't care. He was living with his parents. That's Eric. So it didn't matter. So for Jay, it was a lot more like a business than anything. And I probably should have taken that more seriously, and, but I am what I am. So anyways, I've, kind of carried this on, and I got a lot of shit from radio insiders who were like, dude, you got to lose the Detroit name. No. And the example they would give me is, would you listen to the Kansas City cast? And I'm like, I don't know. I still own the name and the domain and all that stuff for the Detroit cast. So, a lot of people tell me like, dude, I wish you would use that name and logo, and nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
And so COVID happened. I was gone for almost 2 years. I was in California. I wasn't doing a show. And then I came back, and Jay and I kind of went separate ways. And since then, I've kind of bounced around with people. I've had, comedian friends, and we'll continue to do that, and other radio people, and Amy. And I don't remember the first time you came in.
Yeah, I don't
was that over the Mike Massey thing? Was that why you came in to be on Mike?
I don't think that was the first time.
Well, I know you've probably been over, because we used to host every once in a while. Listeners would come over and have beers and watch us live. And
yeah, maybe it was the Mike Massey thing. Maybe that's what it was.
So there was while I was gone, my listeners got into a huge argument with a super liberal attorney who happens to be a talented musician, but he's like over the edge liberal. He's like the warden, but in female form.
Yeah.
If the warden was a woman, that would be Mike Massey. Mike Massey is very sensitive, very, and Trump just blew his mind up. Broke him like a lot of people. And do we even bother going into the details of that? Like,
no, you don't have to.
Yeah. So anyways, Amy held her own in like debate form with a lawyer. Few of you guys did. And I was always impressed. I was just always impressed. And so, I had you guest a couple times, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you come on and we'll just shoot the shit? And I liked your personality. I liked your take on things. I don't think you give a fuck that much.
I do not. That's accurate. And you're not going to hurt my feelings, which I feel like is sort of important.
It's super important. It's more important than people realize. It's harder than people realize. Yeah. It's hard for me. And I've been in this fucking lane for 30 years. Yeah. So it's very hard. And Isis handled like a champ. I love that about Eric. And Eric will still be on here from time to time. He's up north living his best life, Peter Pan style.
Yep.
But it's very hard to get.
Check out the eVenture cast.
Yeah, and Amy guests on there.
Yeah, I co-host it with him.
Yeah. What do you guys do? Like once a week or something?
Every 2 weeks. Actually, it's only Patreon right now. He's not doing any more shows for now. But
how does he do, by the way?
In terms of listeners?
Hosting. No, I don't give a shit about listeners.
He's good. I mean, sometimes I have to get him back on track, but but I have to do that with you sometimes too, so it's fine.
True. So anyways, the reason I go through all this, there's probably at least a few listeners who have been listening to this show from day one, and there are some people that take great pride in like, I'm OG, I've been there since the first episode of the Drew cast, and I've never missed an episode, and they're going, why the hell are you giving us this rundown right now?
Yeah.
Well, the reason for that is one of the things I've never done, and it's in the works as we try to build this all out. I moved cross country and I've built this studio here, and it's still a work in progress. So we'll get there. I know.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have air right now.
I don't have AC right this minute. Yeah. This place looks great, and there's microphones and a full table here, and it's hopefully we'll get that in use and all that. But so Amy and I have been doing it like this. Well, she starts going on Twitter and popping off about all kinds of stuff. And she's cute and she gets a little bit of a following, right?
Yeah.
Safe to say, I don't know what you're at, 60,000
I'm almost
followers right now.
Let's see, Mike, because our buddy who we're going to talk to soon, Turtle Boy, mentioned me on his show yesterday.
Did he really?
So I got some followers out of that. He said, MAGA Barbie's great. Go give her a follow on Twitter. And he said, I've got to come on your program.
Yeah.
And then he played a video. But I'm at almost at 63,000, Mike.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And one of the things was obviously the Karen Reed trial.
Yes, I made a lot of new friends via the Karen Reed trial.
And enemies. But that's the lane you're in.
Mainly friends.
Yeah.
The friends vastly outweigh the enemies that I made via.
Right.
Yeah.
But so we're using a program called Restream to do this show right now. And so we can see a live counter and all of a sudden it's like hundreds of people listening and it's got to be really confusing. Like if they're tuning in because they like Amy or MAGA Barbie's take or Free Karen Reed or her opinions. Yeah. And all of a sudden there's this guy who won't shut up, who's running this thing. And then you're here. It's got to be very, very confusing to people. And so we figured at your suggestion, which was smart, was like, maybe we should kind of give people some background on what this is. So
this didn't get started as like a Karen Reed cast, and I brought in my buddy Mike. This is a fully Mike show that I just guest co-host on.
But it's a show that's covered news, our personal lives. It's comedy, it's serious, it's all kinds of things. It's been all kinds of things. Interviews, over the years, it's author interviews, comics, actors, musicians, whoever's coming through that we can grab. It's a grab bag of things. It's, my background is morning radio. So it's kind of a morning radio morphing into whatever the podcast world is. And I know there's a million podcasts out there. And they're all kind of different and doing their thing, but this has always kind of just been the little engine that could doing its thing. And it's got its fan base over here. And now all of a sudden these other people are listening and they're like, oh, this is the Free Karen Reed girl. And so it's like, why are they talking about, politics or entertainment or what they did over the weekend? Like that's always been what this show is. And, if I'm being totally honest, like I'm constantly in the work of like, what's the show? How do you get it? And I really like Amy. I've really liked Amy for a long time.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
As a voice, as a personality. I like the triangle too. So whether there's a third component at some point, or if that's just like a producer that ends up in a third mic role, it's going to be hard to find an Isis, that delivers so much content. That's really hard. That's not what I'm like. You can't like that has to happen organically. You can't be like, your role is to be crazy guy. Like I hate that shit. Hate that shit.
Yeah.
So Amy is what Amy is, and that's what I like about Amy, right? Like that's what I like. There's not an act. There's not an act with me. There's not an act with her. And so that's really what I'm going for. So many podcasts I see, so many shows, so many radio shows that it's like, hey, you're hired as the wah-wah guy, and you're the girl that keeps everybody in line. Like I hate that shit. I always have.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking for like, you can grow anything out of something as long as you have the parts right, right? As long as you get the parts right, you'll figure out how to best utilize all those parts.
Yeah.
But you got to start with good ingredients, right?
Yeah.
You can't have, and so that's kind of the stage I'm at right now, where it's like, give me the ingredients that mix well in a room, that, that kind of vibe. And so that's why Amy's here, and I hope she likes doing it.
I do. And Grok called me the queen of banter. So
yeah,
I've got that going for me.
If you ask Grok who I was, they'd go, I don't know who that is. That's Mega Barbie's
No, if
co-host.
you go to listen, Mike, if you go to your X profile, like you're viewing your profile, there's a little Grok button like in the top corner next to the search. If you type that, Grok will pop up and give you like a summary of who you are.
Is it accurate?
Let me see. I just hit on mine. It says, a passionate Detroit Lions fan and Michigan native, Maga Barbie fiercely supports her team, cherishes her late father's memory, and champions justice for Karen Reed with sharp wit and unwavering conviction. Maga Barbie's diving into heated debates, questioning verdicts and cop discipline while stirring the pot with witty jabs. The X community engages actively with Maga Barbie, praising her insights on the Karen Reed trial, while some critique her media choices.
Really? What are your media choices they bitch about?
I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
Are you quoting things like, I was watching CNN and they said...
No, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
But fairly accurate, I would say.
Yeah. Have you gotten any word from... and then they called you the undisputed debate queen or something like that. What did they call you? Again?
Undisputed banter queen. Mike Walters is a passionate Detroit Lions and 49ers fan, hosts the TDC Podcast with a knack for calling out political hypocrisy and celebrating sports triumphs with sharp wit. Walters Radio has been joking about painting flags with Maga Barbie and celebrating freedom with patriotic flair. The X community celebrates Walters Radio's podcasting prowess, with Craig Backus praising his charity work and Gus Tanner lauding his singing.
Well, my singing. All right. That's interesting. That's why I have I can't sing at all anymore, at all.
Oh no.
From those days, which people found hilarious. I don't know why.
Yes.
When I would sing wildly off key.
About that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, Mike.
But I blew my voice out singing Africa.
Well,
trying to hit the falsetto parts in Africa, which circled back to how we found Mike Massey. There's a whole history.
Yeah.
And by the way, those episodes are still out there on YouTube. Detroit Cast, if you want to get into that whole world and see where it came from.
To old episodes.
Yeah. Dude, I hear from people quite frequently. They're like, yeah, I just started re-listening from the beginning. I'm on episode da-da-da. It's a whole soap opera.
I'll never forget. I went on a UP trip for work and I drove it. And my furthest client is like 12 hours one way. It's basically driving to Wisconsin through the UP. And I just remember I basically went back to episode 1 that you had with Jay. And I listened to that entire road trip. That entire road trip was just listening to you two, from the beginning. And it was just, I just remember it being so enjoyable. I just was like,
really?
Thank God I have these two to get me through this fucking horrible ass road trip, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what that would, I remember at the time, Jay was very, he didn't have a voice yet.
Yeah.
And which he did because he was a prominent, not cheap lawyer. In Birmingham. He was no bullshit. He's a smart guy. But I remember doing most of the talking. Well, I did most of the talking probably anyways. But he would add where he could in those very first episodes. He and Isis yelled at me about, I was making fun of God or something. And that was the moment he kind of came out of his shell, fuck off, man. Kind of got into me at one point because I was being disrespectful. I don't remember what I was calling him, his God, Santa Claus in the sky. Something. You got to go back 10 years for this.
Spaghetti monster or something.
Yeah, I was being very disrespectful. My views on a lot of that have changed, and I'm not super proud of a lot of the comments I've made over the years. But okay, yeah, what are you going to do? They're all out there. But I remember that day specifically being Jay kind of came out of his shell this isn't just Mike's show, and I don't just have to sit here. If I disagree with something, I can speak up for myself. It was kind of in that moment that he and Isis kind of had his back, and it was kind of like, who are these two taking me on in that moment? But I
always loved that. I always loved when Jay and Isis, the rare time that they would gang up on you was always fun because it was rare that they would like agree about something, you know, and it would always just kind of catch you off guard. Like, hey, you two aren't supposed to gang up on me.
Yeah,
that's not how
we're
this
supposed
works.
to gang up on the retarded one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it was fun. And I think at some point I'll be able to get, I haven't even reached out to him, but I'm sure we can get Jay on here.
People would love that, Mike. People would love that. That would be super fun.
They would. It's a weird thing. Like 2016 changed a lot in this country. And it's the first time that I realized, like, there are a lot of people that followed me that, you look at their Trump derangement syndrome now, like, would never listen. It's like they've written you off as like some monster bigot, like falling down that road. And it's like, you did listen to the Drew and Mike show for many years and then there was like a wall where it was like, you had to make a choice of, are you going this way or that way when it came to Donald Trump? And, it is what it is. But, so I don't know what the show was in those 3 years before that, but I know we had a lot of fun with that first Trump election, but it kind of divided the country in a lot of ways.
There was just so much good stuff that you guys talked about. It was, and, it just experiencing like the whole, Michael Brown thing and just like the unique takes on that. And, like the fucking guy who was like having sex on the webcam or whatever. It was
the neighbor.
All these like bullets behind, and he's like still going. It's so weird.
Yeah. So it's a guy. It was in like the fucking neighborhood ghetto, whatever, where Michael Brown lived there.
It was like right,
Missouri.
Right there. Like it happened right outside his window.
Right outside his windows, and you can picture it. Some Section 8 housing in Ferguson, Missouri. And there were so much information, and it was like, the people that were, the shit media was dying to stick a camera in anyone's face, and the media was doing what they do, which was embarrassing a lot of these people.
Yeah,
they were taking people that spoke horrible English, were downtrodden, and sticking a mic in their face and asking them heavy questions about, race relations in America or policing in America. And they couldn't wait to get the guy that looked like shit and sounded even worse. And we had a field day playing that stuff. And, and one of the guys that I don't remember even how we stumbled upon that video, but some guy is in his apartment.
I think it was evidence. It was like released as evidence because he's like
gunshots. Yes.
Yeah. Because he's literally like having phone sex with some chick. It must have been recording it.
It was online. He was
on like
online.
Skype. Oh, was he? Because I thought he was talking to somebody who's like, yeah, baby.
Yeah, he was like, oh, yeah, baby, take that off. It's like, yeah, let me see that. And you just hear the gunshots going off. And you're 100% right. It was evidence in the trial because...
Well, I don't think there was a trial, but it was evidence of like that came out at some point.
It was evidence in because of those gunshots about...
No, yeah. For sure, it was evidence.
Yeah, but there was a trial for the cop, right? Or did they just...
I don't think Derek Chauvin went to trial, did he?
No, that wasn't Derek Chauvin.
Not
it was,
Derek Chauvin. What the fuck was his name?
Yeah, he just went off the radar. We used to purposely mispronounce his name.
Darren Wilson.
Yeah, Darren Wilson. Was there not? God, this is going back almost 10 years now.
Yeah, because remember, didn't Obama's DOJ say that he didn't do anything wrong?
Yeah, Eric Holder.
Because they were all mad. Because remember, they were all mad that the state didn't charge him, and then they were hoping the feds were going to charge him, and Obama's guy came out and was like, he didn't do anything wrong, so sorry. Yeah. So he just kind of disappeared, and who the fuck knows what he's doing now.
So in one of the thousands of video of on the street stuff was videos like that. And so we would have a field day with stuff like that. It was a different world too. There wasn't 4 million podcasts out there. You like really had to be into broadcasting to even do that. So it was more like a radio show. I don't even know if we were videoing it back then. We might have been.
There was a grand jury, and that's what that's where that evidence came from. But the grand jury did not indict him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his buddy. We had so much fun with his buddy too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
But it was just like different takes on it, which was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's kind of like we do now with takes on stuff, but the difference now is if you and I were to take that story on, we would have the same take. We would have sided with the police. It's rare that we don't, which is what makes the Karen Reed trial so different. Mm-hmm. As far as the coverage, on this show that you've done. But, that didn't automatically write you off as like, oh, you're a Trump guy who I can't listen to an opinion from. Like that just wasn't the state of the country. You could have reasonable takes like, yeah, dude, you don't get to fucking strong arm rob a store and then, take on a cop when he rolls up. Like,
yeah.
You could have that. And it didn't make you an automatic racist or, so you hate minorities. It was like, what?
Yeah.
That would never be brought up. But
right.
Anyway, thank you to anybody that is listening. TDC Podcast out there on YouTube and Facebook, Walters Radio on X, MAGA Barbie 317 on X. That's where these people get. Well, those people already know you're there, but
those people.
So I hope people like it. You can email Walters, WOLTERS, Walters at DetroitCast.com.
And yes, we are having Aiden on. Although we were talking about Friday, that might not work with your travel schedule. So we'll have to see. I know he's quite the popular guy these days. He's going on a lot of different shows, and I'm really happy to see that people who covered the Karen Reed case are continuing to cover his case, because I made a post about this on X that when I started when I started following the Karen Reed case, I wasn't sure when I was like hearing about this stuff if it was just incompetence or corruption, because I was just like, I don't know, maybe these are just small town cops who just fucking were out of their skis and, fucked this all up. But then those exact same cops arrested Aiden for his reporting.
Yeah.
And they had search warrants for his house, and they searched his home for his electronics because that's where he does his show from. And they never went into Brian Albert's house where they found a dead body on the lawn. And so it was at that moment I was like, oh, okay, this is corruption. It's not incompetence. It's full blown corruption. And, when we have him on the show, he'll delve more into, the shit that he's gone through. It is absolutely insane. And I think that's I think I'm going to actually do a separate show, maybe while Mike's traveling, about, because he made a video about his charges and he lines up what they're charging him with. And then he'll play the video from his YouTube channel, because they're literally charging him with like words. Like words that hurt people's feelings. Yeah. And so I think I'm going to do that just so people kind of have an idea, but it's just really, there's so much more that when you hear the colluding and the entrapment that happened to him to get him put in jail. That's why I get irritated and pissed off when people are like, oh, you just think these normal everyday people, framed this woman for murder. And it's like, 100% I do, because I see what they're doing to him.
Yeah.
And he has text messages that he just got that he can't release yet because for some reason they're under seal, but hopefully they'll be not under seal after a few weeks. But it's text messages with like the key witnesses of the Karen Reed trial texting with the Massachusetts State Police and Norfolk County about like, we have to get him arrested somehow. like colluding together to do that. And it's fucking crazy. It's so insane.
Is that's all still going too, right? Or is it done now?
Oh no.
I'm surprised he'll talk about it.
Oh, are you kidding me? He loves
No, I know, but
he loves talking, but because he literally didn't do anything wrong. And it's a when you see it and you see what he's charged with, and you're going to be like, that's reporting. That, I mean, I know I do this all the time, but it would be like Charlie LaDuff being fucking charged with witness intimidation of Kwame's witnesses. Like, it's so crazy what they're doing, and it's scary. And they're not slowing down, because I feel like at this point they blame Turtle Boy, they blame Aiden for Karen having the support that she did, which probably ultimately led to her getting off, you know?
Well, there's probably some truth to that. Just having a voice that can reach people and get out there. Yeah. And, you know, there's no doubt you need someone, if you can get it, someone championing for you in the press. But they don't like that. They didn't like it with Charlie LaDuff and ML Elric in Detroit when the mayor was in shit. You know, they wanted to shut those guys up as much as they could. And it does take a strong reporter who's not intimidated. It's very intimidating. Anybody that's been pulled over understands the balance of power is not equal in those moments. And every one of us, I don't care if it's a seatbelt violation, you feel that the weight of that. You can imagine if a DA or is coming after you and has their sights on you, like that's
imagine seeing the same cops that you've been criticizing for 6+ months roll up to your fucking house with a search warrant to arrest you.
Yeah.
Like, that would just be insane. And, you know, he's up against a lot. And it's, I mean, shit, the cop that stopped me to help me with my gas, I was literally nervous dealing with him for no reason. He was super nice. He was just stopping to help me, but I was nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel it going through airport security. And it's like, oh God, like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Yeah. I know that, but
So there's this video. I'm going to have it queued up for when he's on the show, but when he gets arrested, he's like, he has the body cam of it. And so he's sitting in the police station, and they're like, and he's got a Free Karen Reed shirt on, which was hilarious. And he's sitting and they're like, do you have any aliases? And you see the look on his face, and he's like, yeah. And they're like, what are they? And he's like, Daddy, Doctor. And the cop's just like, okay. Like, he's just fucking with him the whole time. He's a funny dude.
Not intimidated. That's good.
No, he's not.
That's good. Well, we'll dial that in. That's cool that he knows who you are. And I'm sweating through my shirt. I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
This is so bad.
Are papers sticking to you yet?
Not yet. I've got them in front of me. Do you have the Give, Send, Go?
I do, Mike.
Of this idiot. I'm so tired of these people. This is the Sade Perkins. I know that's not how you pronounce her name. She's the one. Actually, should we watch just to refresh people's memories?
Yeah, while I pull it up.
She was this fine lady. One of the Houston mayoral appointees who thought it was a great idea to go on TikTok and share her thoughts on the 27 missing children during the Texas flood. And this was her take. We played it the other day.
Y'all caught the fucking news on me. I wasn't going to post anymore.
Was this the first one?
But I think it's really funny how my little voice and my little 7,000 followers have garnered enough attention to where y'all want me to make up.
Hold on. This might be it. Sorry. There's people in it. Yeah, I believe this is the first one.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all white-only conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going, period. And I think that context needs to be said in this matter. It's not to say that we don't want the girls to be found, whatever girls that are missing or whatever right now. But you best believe, especially in today's political climate, if this were a group of Hispanic girls, especially with them being in East Texas, it should be most likely Hispanic. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out there, this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a fuck. And all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported. They shouldn't have been here in the first place, and yada, yada, yada. So before y'all come at me, before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, the parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave, exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas. Somehow, some way, you have carved out an all-white, whites-only enclave in East Texas for your white children. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. Once again, this is no shade
everybody
to the
would
girls.
have a problem with that
if
there was any truth to any of that bullshit statement she just gave. And, using these children who at the time were missing and assumed dead, if you remember, this was like day one, still missing children, to use those for your whatever warped idea you have of how the world works, using these missing little girls to make your point was not a smart move.
Yeah.
It's the hatred and evil that is in some people. I just won't understand. Like, what makes you film that and then post it? Or if that's a TikTok live, I don't know how that works.
Well, now she's trying to grift off of it, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, there she is. Oh, trying to raise $20,000 because she got fired.
Yes.
She was blown out. Well,
but she says she wasn't. She says,
what is
let me read this. After the devastating flood at Camp Mystic, Sade, like many of us, was heartbroken. But she also had the courage to say what others wouldn't. Would this response have looked different if the victims were Hispanic or Black girls? That's not what she said. She didn't attack the victims. Yes, she did. She questioned disparity. And for that, she's being stalked, harassed, and flooded with hate messages. Now the mayor is claiming they, quote unquote, fired Sade, trying to make it look like they've taken some kind of action in response to public outrage. But here's the truth. Sade left her position back in January. This was months ago. She was not fired. She resigned on her own terms. So why are they saying otherwise now? Because conservative media twisted her comments, then handed the mayor a scapegoat. Sade simply spoke up about racial disparity in emergency response, something many have quietly thought but were too afraid to say. And the hate she's getting, it's not just disagreement. It's racialized violence in plain sight. If a white public figure had made the same comment, it would have sparked debate, not a takedown. But Sade is a Black woman, and the message being sent is loud and clear. You shouldn't be talking at all. She's being threatened, stalked, mocked, and dragged simply for exercising the same freedom of speech this country claims to protect. This campaign exists to say enough. We stand with Sade because her words were not cruel, they were courageous. Black women should not be silenced or sacrificed to protect broken systems. Real accountability means protecting truth tellers, not punishing them. All funds raised will go towards Sade's protection, legal support, and recovery from the reputational and emotional harm she's enduring. If you believe in free speech, equity, protecting Black women from systemic retaliation, then stand with Sade Perkins. Let her know she's not alone and that we will not let her voice be erased.
Yeah, well, she is alone. She should be alone. Absolutely none of that is true, by the way. None of what that idiot posted, whether it's her under an alias or someone else. By the way, if you left your gig on your own terms, what's with the give, send, go? Why do you need 20 grand?
Well, Mike, I hate to break it to her, grand. But she's raised $285.
And there's a lot of press about this give, send, go. By the way, I don't know. Can you pull up comments?
Yeah. I have them right here. So, for your funeral expenses, I rebuke you in Jesus' name. Paid just to say eat shit. Somebody had to say it.
Okay, that's probably the person. Anonymous giver gave $100 for it. That's probably her.
Probably her. Someone said,
yeah. Dumb black girl.
Yeah.
So I guess in order to make a comment, you need to donate. And so that's what the majority of these are, is
go fuck yourself. F you.
Yeah. So Sade, I'll read some of them to you because I have some of the comments when it was at $40. So it's gone up. There was that one that was $100. Sade, you're an awful human who has been empowered by the last 4 years of political hatred and racism to believe you're morally superior based on your vote. And now it's time for reckoning. Another one, the evil that is within you to say that, to say what you did about those poor babies, literal babies, is only something the devil would stand by. You are disgusting and should be embarrassed. Another one says, I will piss away $5 to tell you you're the absolute scum of the earth. The donor promised they, along with the other sleuths who are active online, will make it our life's mission to make sure you regret this stupid, bigoted, hateful video every day for the rest of your pathetic life. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're just getting started. Another said, you're scum of the earth, blah, blah, blah. If you were white, you would have faced the same backlash. Foul and disgusting piece of trash, you subhuman, hateful, racist cunt. You deserve everything you're getting for what you said about those innocent babies. Someone wished her ALS.
Yeah, you know, like actions meet consequences. I don't know what to tell you. And if she would have said it as eloquently and toned down as it says in that Give, Send, Go, wouldn't have gone viral. But you know what she said is, like, before you put on your rain boots and you go and you start looking for these missing girls, you know, think about X. And it's like, yeah, that's so you weren't saying that. You were literally encouraging people not to go look because fuck these girls.
And fuck these girls was what she was really
cunts.
saying. Yeah. Little kids missing.
She called them cunts.
Yeah.
That God gave them what they deserved.
Yeah. And so by the way,
that's what she said.
I take issue with her, even that claim. I don't believe that the federal government response would be like, oh, they're Mexican girls. Well, good luck. Fuck them.
Of course not.
Like
you said, the only discrimination that was occurring with FEMA was political discrimination. It wasn't fucking race discrimination.
It was well documented too.
Yeah, right.
Right. And we still haven't had a reckoning for that. It was just like, our bad. Like, Mike, no, that people felt comfortable enough to write in internal messages between the group inside FEMA saying to bypass streets that had Trump signs. So at the time of the flood last year in North Carolina, it might have been.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of political season. So this is when lawn signs are around. They were telling people, like, think about the comfort level you have to have. Like, that's not a day one thing. Like, hey, fuck these Trump supporters. Let's skip that. Like, you have to be so comfortable in saying something like that to put it into a group of message, which is what they were doing at FEMA, saying, if you see someone with a Trump sign, and then they tried to justify it like, well, you know, which is bullshit too. Oh, like if you want to save someone that has a Trump 2024 sign on their lawn in an emergency fire situation or flood situation, that's the time they'd go, wait a minute, who are you voting for?
All right.
And would start a fight. Like, the premise is so bullshit on its face. It doesn't make sense. But that was what they were saying. So what she's talking about has happened before. Just in no way would anyone believe that's going on in a situation like this where they would get care at all if it was a bunch of little girls black girls at a camp in Texas or Hispanic girls. Are you kidding me?
It's so, and then to grift off of it is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Hey, pay me because I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah. And, it would be so easy, and she would get support, not from me or you, but from a lot of people that are dying to give someone like her support and see her side. If she came out the next day, instead of doing a give, send, go, if she came out and went, I rewatched my videos, and I got to tell you, the emotions involved in the moment got the better of me, and I'm horrified for what I said. Those little girls have no idea, about where I'm coming from, how, blah, blah, blah. They've got nothing to do with any sort of gripe I would have with social injustices in society, in the world. And, my thoughts, and lie, because she'd be full of shit. She obviously hates white people. But, to lie just to get out of the crosshairs, and she could just lie to people and go, I feel awful. I don't expect her to have a real come to Jesus moment. That seems like a broken soul. Broken. I don't know if there's redemption for that. You're talking about little girls.
If she were smart, she would, one, say everything I raise is going into a donation to those families. Or instead of making a give, send, go, she tells people, hey, I shouldn't have said what I said. I do have issues with the system. This wasn't the time. This wasn't the place.
Yeah.
I'm going to donate $100 to these families. I encourage everybody to do the same. And that would be like a unifying thing. But instead, she just doubles and triples down on her racist rhetoric bullshit.
Yeah.
And
again,
I wholly object.
She's the victim in this. It's just,
I wholly object to her saying that if this were a white person who said that about black people, that no one would care. That is fucking insane.
Insane.
They would try to find a way to charge that person with a hate crime for saying words.
Yeah. And the previous administration would have been successful in doing that.
Right.
They would have found some bullshit way. Screw your First Amendment, whatever. It's insulting. It's not true, any of that stuff. And it just goes to show you, someone has led her to believe that that's an acceptable response. That's someone who's a victim and wants to be a victim.
Right.
She's desperate to, she's doubling and tripling down on being a victim. And this is just further proof. Look at how people are attacking me.
Right. Yeah. All I was doing was questioning a broken system. No, you called missing kids cunts. So there's that.
Yeah. And you were dismissive as hell about those missing little girls.
Yeah.
That is a broken soul when you can't even see. And I can't believe there's no one in her circle that could go, Sade, have a seat. Do you not have any real friends? If I were to come on this show.
No, she seems very cunty. I'm going to go with no. That she does not have any friends.
Think about it though, Amy. Honestly, if you were to go, Mike, I need a minute. I got to get something off my chest. And you went on a diatribe like that. Don't you think any one of our listeners would reach out to you personally, reach out to me? I would, as a friend, go, even off the air. We don't even have to do this on the air and go, Ames, that you got to really think about this. That was really, is no one in your life, is no one capable of seeing that a literal monster is the only person that would say something like that?
Yeah.
Does no one have your back? No friend, no family member can sit you down and see that?
Well, no, because they've all enabled her to get to the point where she is. I mean, it didn't just happen overnight. So no, she doesn't have anybody in her life. But she's hearing from millions of people. So there's that.
Yeah.
But Mike, this leads me to a question that I have, because I saw another story that I was going to bring up along the GoFundMe route. But first, my question to you is, what would have to happen for you to I know the answer to this because I know that we're the same.
Yeah.
But pretend like you're a normal person.
Okay.
What would it take for you to want your money back from a GoFundMe that you donated to?
To want my money back? I don't even know where you're going with that. Like, I would think if I was giving to a GoFundMe, I would know what it was all about. Right. Yeah. No, I
like once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. It's like giving money to a homeless guy.
Exactly.
You're not getting that back.
You're not getting it back. Even
I'm not going to dispute the charges.
Well, that was what I was about to say. Like, you and I, we're not going through any effort to get any money back. Ever. No. Like, not even a little bit. So that's kind of off. But I kind of feel the same way, Mike. Like, if I'm donating to a GoFundMe, even if it's one like maybe I clicked the wrong link and I donated to the wrong one, I still would not try to get my money back, by the way. That's my fault. Oops, my bad.
I don't know. There's probably a dollar amount. Like if it was like, I've saved up my money and I'm giving $1,000 to this, and then I clicked the wrong one, maybe. But if you're talking about one of these, anything up to $100,
right?
It'd be like, that's just lesson learned.
The Idaho 4 murders, and that Brian Kohberger recently pled guilty, so there's no trial.
Yeah.
So the trial ended when there was going to be a trial, it got moved. And so it was in a different part of Idaho. And so one of the families, someone had set up a GoFundMe for them and to cover travel expenses, because it was going to be like a 3 or 4 month trial that they were going to have to travel to every single day, stay in hotels, that sort of thing. So they had this GoFundMe, and it raised like $85,000 or something like that. And people are reaching out to that family, asking them how they're going to get their money back, since they donated to a GoFundMe for a trial that's travel expenses to a trial that's not happening.
Yeah, no.
Like, how tacky is that?
Yeah. No.
Even if you donated $1,000 to that, I would assume you have $1,000 to donate.
Yeah, for sure.
And you wouldn't want it back, because that's just so tacky to me. And like these fucking people lost their daughter. Okay. Like, you're really reaching out to them?
These were family members.
It was the mom and dad of the blonde
one of the
chick.
Girls. Yeah. Okay. I thought 3 of them were blonde chicks, but whatever. But their parents traveling, and we're going to need lodging.
Staying in hotels.
No, dude, you go. Wish you the best.
Go on a vacation.
Keep it. $85,000 in no way replaces a daughter, and my $5 donation to that pot. Good luck with it.
Yeah. Go on a fucking vacation with your family and go honor 100%. Your daughter and, whatever. But I couldn't even imagine a scenario where I would be like, I want my money back.
Can you imagine them? So what do you expect them to do? Go through and itemize? You expect them going through what they've been through to now go through and itemize to return money? Like, no.
And they had already gotten the transfer
of the money.
So it's in his account. So it's not like he can even go through GoFundMe. Like, he has to personally.
Yeah, no. I hope they're telling people, go away. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it.
The dad is trying to reimburse everybody's money.
Oh. See, I think my dad would do that too. Try and reimburse. Like, for no way would I'd feel like such a jerk doing that.
I know.
And to put that on that family, like my dad would feel bad. Like, this guy gave $5 and now I don't have to travel and he wants his money back. Like, my dad would do that. Would sit down and give the money back to each individual person. Like, dude.
It said the family said they needed time to figure out how to give back the GoFundMe donations. Please give me time to figure out the best way to do this. I can't just ask GoFundMe to reimburse everyone, as the money has already been deposited into my bank account and is no longer held by GoFundMe. I understand this is a priority for many people. Steve and I need a few days alone to process what just happened. It's so hard to describe what we're going through right now. My whole body aches. Please just give us some grace. I promise we won't skip town. Like, these people are actually fucking messaging them the day or day after this all happens, and asking for their money back. Like, it's so tacky.
No, so tacky. Of all people, like, I'm trying to think if it was one of those I know my dad donates to a lot of those, like, hey, we're building a new headphone. My dad's a super hi-fi guy. We're building a new headphone and it's going to be cream of the crop, and they crowdfund. And if they hit their mark, they make the headphone and then you get first in line to get it. My dad will give $100 to stuff like that. And if they didn't get it, maybe you could go, do we get our money back for something like that? But this is such a personal loss thing. Right. There's so much more like humanity involved. This isn't like a widget that you're going to build with this money and it never comes to fruition. And there's no heart involved. There's no humanity.
And like, were you guys gonna keep a fucking audit trail of the money they spent? And if they spent less than 85 grand, were you gonna look for your money back? Like, what are we even doing here? I just assume if you can afford to donate to a GoFundMe, don't ask for that money back. If you can't afford it, like the fact that she's saying, I understand this is a priority for people. Why the fuck would it be a priority because we all thought up until like 3 days ago, it was going to trial. So why would getting your money back be a priority?
Yeah. Timing is everything. But even then, I'm sorry. I just
so tacky.
Like we're in a digital connected world now, but this is the digital version of seeing some guy in a corner and handing him a $5 out your window.
Right.
Like that's what this is. Like, it's gone, dude. Write it off. Okay, you gave $100 to something like that. It's gone.
Are you a little surprised they only raised 85 grand?
Yeah, very.
I mean, it's just one family, but still, I'm surprised it didn't get like $1 million. If I'm being honest with you, I mean, this was such a big case.
I was going to be disgusted. I actually thought before we started when I was looking at that Sade Perkins one, and my fear was like, is there a line? Is there a line of where the divisiveness doesn't exist? Like, hey, Carmelo Anthony raised $500,000 after he stabbed to death another high school student. Like, and people were like, oh yeah, the system. Like, is this idiot? Why wouldn't she think that? I'll just my name's in the paper. I'll just throw this up there and grab 20 grand.
For sure.
Like, is society that broken that even this asshole can get a money grab? And what are we trying to prove a point now with the divide? Is she going to raise $500,000 on the back of that bullshit story?
Doesn't seem like it. Seems like we all kind of draw the line at dead kids.
Yeah. Unless it's a white dead high school kid that we can slander and call a bully for some reason without any evidence. That one shocks me a little bit, honestly.
I imagine that we might start hearing some outrage because there was a trial that I was sort of watching, but it was actually really hard for me to watch because it involved teenage kids. And it was just, you felt bad for everybody involved. And I could think back to my high school days, and I'm sure yours, Mike, where you go to a high school party at your buddy's house, and you're all drinking, and, guys from a different school roll up, and, you're being territorial of your chicks. Yeah. And you're like, I'm taking your beer, get the fuck out of here. And then a fight ensues.
Yep.
And so this fight breaks up. This is in like a rich town in Connecticut. So this fight breaks up at this one party, but it moves to a different house. Okay. So it's like this fight happened at this one house. Now it's moved to the second house. It's these kids from these different schools. And these two kids are driving over to the next party, and the driver opens up his glove compartment. He's got a pocket knife in there, and he throws it to the passenger. He's like, here, just in case. And so, they go up to this party, fight ensues. The kid who has the knife in his pocket, at some point, he's like on the ground getting punched in the face, like literally just getting attacked, gets the knife out, and he starts going stabby on people. And he stabs 4 kids to like get away and get up and run. But the 4th one that he stabs, like on his way out, was just a bystander. Like, he wasn't even involved in the fight. He was just standing there watching, and he's the one that died.
Ugh. What did he hit, an artery or something?
Stabbed him like right in the heart, I think.
Yeah.
Or the stomach or something. And like, so then, you know, everybody, and so they're charging this kid with murder and manslaughter. And it was really tough to watch because you just felt bad for everybody. You know, it was a situation that probably happens every fucking weekend. You've experienced it. I experienced it in high school. Yeah. But for the grace of God, that didn't happen to us. And it could have. It very well could have.
I've thought it 1,000 times. I remember one, we had a, I don't remember a lot of crossover. I didn't deal with that a lot. I know a lot of schools did, but I moved from Stevenson in Livonia to Farmington Hills, Harrison. And so I had a group of friends that from Livonia that it was like, yeah, come over to, we're having a party. And those guys, for the most part, got along.
It was always like the public school versus private school is kind of.
See, I remember North and Farmington and Harrison, but I don't remember a ton of crossover. But I do remember we had a hotel party every once in a while.
Yeah, the hotel parties.
The hotel party, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember crossover there. And of course, a fist fight broke out. Yes. Of course. And you have the most privileged pussies basically squaring off after 10 beers each. And, you know, there, but for the grace of God, go any of us where it's like you're one punch from a kid falling over, cracking their skull open on the curb and
being put out on the front lawn.
And what was it over? Probably one of them was talking to one of our girlfriends. I guarantee it was.
Yeah, right.
Guarantee it.
And that's what this was. It was private school kids or public school kids rolling up on a private school party or vice versa. And that's kind of how I remember it too. Like, you know, the Walled Lake kids would run into like the Catholic Central kids. And it was always like, you know, there was like an issue, like stay away from our people.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But, you know, but this kid from Connecticut, and so he was found not guilty today, actually. And so I feel like there's going to be some comparisons to Carmelo Anthony in terms of how those cases unfolded and that sort of thing. But this truly, to me, sounded like self-defense. I would not have voted guilty.
Yeah, I was going to say on that. This sounds like fighting your way out of a bag. You know, like you're kind of overwhelmed. It's just. You know,
and he took the stand and he was crying. And it's like, it's just so sad because, you know, and every witness was like fucking 20 years old now because it happened a couple years ago when they were, you know, seniors in high school. And, you know, it was so crazy because at one point, the kid who was on trial, his girlfriend at the time came to testify and they hadn't seen each other since that night. And it's like, it's so crazy. Like you're dating this chick, you go to prom together the night before, and then the next day this thing happens and you probably haven't talked to your friends or you clearly broke up with your girlfriend and you haven't seen her in person in like 3 years. And here she is testifying against you and has to identify you sitting at the table. Like, it's just, what a wild scene, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know no kid would listen to us. Certainly not me, but that right when it's like, just in case, like, I'm so glad I never carried a knife, certainly never a gun or a bat where it's like, oh, I might need it. Like, that's only going to end bad. Mm-hmm. Like if you get in that situation, you need to go to fisticuffs with someone. Okay. Yeah. You know, I got punched. I got my ass kicked and I've been punched, you know, it happens. Like, that's not the time you want a 16-year-old fucking ginned up, you know, like, oh yeah, let's go for the pocket knife in my, like, dude, it's never going to go well. Never. No. I have a bunch of stories, but we'll get to them tomorrow on a member show. Cause we kind of had a rundown history of the show today and whatnot, but patreon.com/TDC podcast. We'll get into Comey and Brennan, and I want us to follow this trial out of UCLA too about a professor who's suing for a lot of money there. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow.
Tell me about it. I want to watch it.
Well, he was shit canned.
I will be the trial consultant on all things trials.
He's suing UCLA over his suspension after he refused to grade black students more leniently in the wake of George Floyd.
Wow.
So they were like, yeah, it's a whole thing, and it's pretty funny, his response to it. Yeah, and I hope he gets every fucking penny of $22 million.
Hell yeah, that'd be
every
awesome.
penny. Messages need to be sent about how we treat people based on skin color. Seems like a no-brainer most of my life, but we'll get into those tomorrow. Patreon.com/TDC Podcast. And then I'll be off to California for all of next week, but we'll still do some shows together. But,
although I will be off Monday. You know, I've got a work conference I have to go to up north.
Is it this coming Monday?
Yeah.
Is that when it was? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we won't Monday. But we'll figure that out, but we're not going to abandon anybody. I will do a couple emails. Geography. Okay, that's it. Absolutely no more geography for you two. Newfoundland? Come on, guys. I can't believe after the Guam debacle that you'd admit Newfoundland was a shocker to you.
And I love how it was a shocker to both of us.
Yeah. What was the shocker again? Oh, the Titanic.
Yeah, and that Newfoundland is basically like could be. It's like it looks like it's closer to us than Hawaii is. Yeah. If I'm being totally honest,
it probably is. I don't even want to get involved.
Newfoundland could be another state.
Yeah, could be another state. Who knew? Apparently, a lot of people. The whole James. It's been all downhill since we gave them the vote and let them start driving. They redesigned the gas tank spout on many cars like 15 years ago. Everybody knows that. Well, anybody that pays any attention to important things.
Time out. Zach Morris, time out. Zach Morris, time out.
All right. That's a great reference.
I was not the only one on this show that didn't know about that, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but I'm not really a man. It's not fair to...
So shouldn't that say the whole and Mike?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just the whole that didn't know that.
Yeah, but here's my defense is like, I've usually driven a car that's relatively newish, and I don't run it out of gas ever because I don't want to get into a situation where I might have to use a gas can.
Exactly.
But I have had my struggles with the gas can into the generator. As you know, my house lost power all the time in Franklin.
Yeah.
And so I had issue because I had numerous gas cans.
Well, does James explain why the change happened?
He doesn't. To confuse girls, probably, is what he would say. But he says, yeah, anybody that pays any attention to important things, ask Connor, Aaron, or CIA bully if they know. I'll bet it's 3 for 3. Well, yeah, those.
I was just about to say that's not you can't tell me to ask my CIA friend if he knows about. Of course, he literally knows fucking everything. He's in the CIA.
And the other two you named are guys I go to when I don't know shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like these are the guys I read.
Yeah, and they're the guys that read like, Mechanics Weekly and shit, and just for fun. These guys. How were we supposed to know that? Was there some bulletin that we were supposed to get in the mail?
No,
that let us know of this change? I didn't see it on social media. I didn't see it on the news.
The 3 people he references, I guarantee you, every one of them knows how to turn on a computer too. It doesn't mean like, they're smarter than most people.
They can also probably change a tire.
Yes.
And to be fair, 15 years ago, I was just graduating from college. Okay, so I didn't give a fuck about my gas tank, James.
Yeah, I still don't.
I'll probably forget, to be completely honest with you.
I already forgot until that email. I would have forgotten and been like, what's
there
wrong
will
with
be a
this
new
thing?
design change by the time I need to use a gas can again.
Yeah. You and I are more like Mike Lindell. Like when he ran out of washer fluid in his car, was like, fuck it, get a new one. Yeah. Just get a new car, leave it there.
100%.
Like if you can afford to do that, if you're that guy, it's like, oh, it's out of washer fluid.
You know what I do? You know when I do this, Mike, with vacuums?
Yeah. You don't just empty the dirt out?
No. I empty the dirt, but like if I've had it for a second and I feel like I should probably take this in to either get it serviced or cleaned because it's I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm just buying a new one.
Yeah, I've historically been the buy a new one guy.
Yeah.
Do they still have vacuum repair shops? I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought that was when your vacuum does something, makes a noise or appears to not be suctioning properly anymore, that's when it's meant for the garbage can.
Yeah. I think that when you spend like $1,000 on a Dyson vacuum, you're supposed to treat it well. But I'm just like, I'll just get a new Dyson because why not?
Yeah. It's a good way to go. I have a Dyson here. And when it stops working, I'll either call CIA Bully. If he wants to take a look at it, he can. Or we'll get a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The whole keep her off my celebrity cruise line. She's down for Carnival's idea of a cruise. Good for her. Go enjoy. Just leave your liberal ghetto taste far away from my respectable line.
You will not see me on a Carnival cruise ship with you, I
Carnival,
promise.
Are there other ones? Like, is Princess a different one? Like, are there ones that are like...
Princess is one, Royal Caribbean. Celebrity, I hear, is really nice. If I go on another cruise, it'll probably be... I wouldn't mind doing like an Alaskan cruise. I think that would be cool. A European cruise that takes you around to different areas. But as far as like the Caribbean cruises go, I've kind of worn myself out on the Caribbean cruises. I've been to all the spots.
I think we made... the point I did yesterday is like, is this the Spirit Airlines?
It is 100%.
It is. Okay. See, I don't remember that when I was growing up, when I was a kid, I think that was like the cruise line.
It was. Yeah, for sure. But it's become more like the, kid friendly and that sort of thing.
Cruises sounded cool to me when there was a period where it's like, maybe that'd be fun. Maybe I think Fellhauer and I talked at one point of taking our girls at the time on a cruise. There was debate over it.
Yeah.
This would have been in the early 2000s. But I don't know, every video I've seen, and I know that's probably not a fair representation. All the videos I see now, I'm like, no.
Yeah, and I just
don't want to be anywhere near that.
I would much rather just go to an all-inclusive where I can just do whatever the fuck I want to do, and I'm not, stuck.
I don't want anyone telling me.
Yeah,
curfew. You got to be back on the boat by 1, or we're leaving without you. Like
right. Yeah.
That all it turns me off. But whatever. Some people seem to love them. They swear by them. Anyway, all right. I'm going to get out of here before I faint. But we'll see you all in the members area. Well, some of you, anyways, tomorrow. And thanks, Ames. We'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
What does your shirt say, by the way, before I disconnect?
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince, love it.
Yep.